Please welcome a 2011-12 SDSU graduate in political science and our Congresswoman, Kristi Noem.
Well, good morning. You look great. Aren't you glad to be here? If my son Booker, who's 9 years old, kind of summed today up perfectly when I was standing in the kitchen this morning putting my shoes on, he said, "Today is finally here." Yes, it's finally here. Good morning to all of you, to graduates, faculty, family, friends, and loved ones. I want to first start by saying congratulations to South Dakota State University's class of 2012. All of those hours spent in the library, drinking those gallons of coffee, all the pages that have been written were well worth it. We're going to leave this commencement today proud recipients of a 4-year degree from South Dakota's largest university, and we're going to be lifelong jackrabbits. We may be departing the world of undergraduate studies, but in case you're already feeling nostalgic about that, know that we're joining a pretty prestigious alumni association, which you've just heard about. SDSU counts among its ranks graduates who have gone on to become state and national leaders, founders of large and successful companies. We even have a Nobel Prize winner that has graduated from SDSU. But you know, SDSU is also known for producing outstanding, great athletes. Many of you, because many of you may be more interested in ESPN than CNN, I'm going to give a shout out to Adam Vinatieri from the Indianapolis Colts and Danny Batten at the Buffalo Bills. And of course, we do have a new Packer, Mr. Dale Moss. So now that I've patted everybody on the back and patted our school on the back a bit, I want to thank all of the people who have really made it happen. The family and the friends that have all supported and loved us through this whole process, or else we never would have reached the finish line. Each of us can think of at least one instance, and probably many of them, where they were there for us when we needed them the most. For me, that's going to be my family. My husband, Brian, who's sitting up here today with our kids, Cassidy, Kennedy, and Booker. You can just wave. I won't make you stand up. There they are. But you know, I've got 3 special women here today as well. And they have filled in the gaps for me. And because I get the chance to speak, I'm going to point them out today, too. One of them is my mother, Corinne, my mother-in-law, Sharon Noem, and then my sister, Cindy. They have fed kids, they have driven us around, they've helped me study, they have filled in the gaps for me many, many, many times. And I know that many of our graduates today, right now, are thinking of the women and the men in their lives who have helped them get here today and to be successful. So I just want to thank them as well. Standing up here today, I feel as though I'm a bit between 2 different worlds. On one hand, I'm the proud peer of all of you out there in your caps and gowns. But then I'm also finishing this journey at a totally different stage in my life than most of you. I have the great honor to represent South Dakota as the lone representative in the U.S. House of Representatives. But more importantly, I'm also a wife and a mother, and I've spent my life as a farmer and a rancher. That wasn't necessarily how I envisioned my life turning out when I was your age, but I love it. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Each of you sitting here today right now has a plan. Some of you want to be a teacher. Some of you want to be a doctor or an engineer or a farmer. And each of us should be very proud of the dreams that we have and what we've done to accomplish them so far. Because I believe in the power of hard work and determination. You know, there's a quote from Woody Allen that some of you have probably heard before, but it's always stuck with me. It says, if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your future plans. Well, many of you sitting out there today know this to be true. Life doesn't always turn out the way that you planned it. It didn't for me. If you'd asked me if when I was your age, if I would one day be standing up here as a 40-year-old graduate and a congresswoman, I would have given him an emphatic no. And some of you already know my story. You already know that I started college at the age that most of you are, or most of you did. And I thought that I went to school because I thought that one day I might be a teacher and then farm and ranch for fun. But then life threw me an unexpected and a painful curveball. My dad was killed in a farming accident in our family business, and I left college to come home and help run the family farm. Even though that changed the plans for my life, I didn't really mind. Getting up every day, going outside to work, feeding cows, running the day-to-day operations of the business was good for me. It made me feel close to my dad. In fact, it was my own version of grief counseling. I figured that I'd go back to school after things settled down, and then life happened. Brian and I were already married at that time, and then I was pregnant. I got pregnant 3 times. And running the ranch, a hunting lodge, helping Mom manage a restaurant, and also raising 3 strong-willed but wonderful and independent kids makes for a pretty full schedule. And while going back to school, got put on the back burner. Watching Cassidy and Kennedy and Booker grow, though, made me concerned about what kind of a country they were going to inherit. I wanted them to grow up in the same America that I did. An America where life's curveballs, even though they come at you, you can still find success and happiness with hard work and with determination. You know, Ronald Reagan once said that freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our kids in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, it must be protected, and it must be handed on in order for them to do the same. For me, I thought that the best way I could do that was to run for elected office. And while I was serving in the South Dakota State Legislature, I had a conversation with my sister. We were sitting in the farm office one day having coffee, and she said, "You know, Kristi, I'm surprised that you never went back and that you finished college." She said, "You don't really quit anything." You know, she was right. I pride myself on the fact that I'm not a quitter. You see, when I was growing up, my dad simply just didn't allow the word can't to be in our vocabulary. So I made the decision then to enroll here in South Dakota State University, both because I wanted to finish what I started, but also I wanted to set an example for my kids about the importance of education and follow through in completing a job that you've started. Well, during the last several years, I literally wrote term papers going in between events, did homework in airports, on airlines, and in layovers at these airports for many hours, and late nights after the kids went to bed. Many of you have juggled a lot of the same responsibilities as well. So here I am today, a college graduate, like all of you, but not exactly the way that I envisioned it. But I'd have to say that I wouldn't do anything different. A curveball that life threw at me made me stronger. It made me more capable for the next one. And I think we're all familiar with that Chuck Swindoll quote, that is, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you deal with it, how you react. I recently heard Coach Nagy use this in a speech that he gave about the power of having a good attitude and the impact it can have on your life. It was a great speech, and he is a great man and a great leader. I believe in the power of that statement, and each of you can apply it to your life as you move forward. From the interactions that I've had with many of you here today, I'm confident that each graduate not only has the ability and the desire to go out and chase their dreams, but to catch them. It may not happen in the exact same sequence that you'd imagine, but it will happen. I don't want to sugarcoat this for you. I wish I could stand up here and say that from now on everything in life was going to be lollipops and bubble gum, but that's not always the way that life is. There are some real challenges, and going through this process with all of you and looking at all of your faces right now, it gives me hope. Not just for each of you and the dreams that you have and the life that you'll lead, but hope for our country and the future of our country. Each of you is passionate and prepared to go forward and have an impact. That is exactly what our country needs today. Whatever your politics, whatever your background, whatever your religious beliefs, we are all Americans. We each have the United States and the freedoms that are afforded to us by the Constitution to thank for the fact that we have the strongest economy in the world, the strongest military in the world, the most vibrant agricultural industry in the world, and the most innovative graduates in the world as well. I know that each of you will only go forward and make it stronger. And you'll make it stronger despite, not because, of the curveballs that life throws at you. I want to ask all of the graduates to think about something for me today. It's an example I've used with my kids before too. How many of you have gotten in your car, or since we're in South Dakota, in your truck before, backed it out of the driveway, started to drive down the road and thought, you know, something's wrong. It's kind of driving jerky, it's not working correctly, something must be wrong mechanically with my vehicle. And then you look down and you realize that the emergency brake is on? Come on, put your hands in the air. How many of you have done this before? All right, I have done it before as well. And then when you take the emergency brake off, you are amazed by how much better your car drives. Like, oh my goodness, look at that, it drives wonderfully. I'm going to ask each of you today to take your emergency brakes off. In our lives, so many things hold us back. It may be our insecurities. It may be the fact that we don't think we're smart enough, or that we don't have an opportunity in front of us. We're not pretty enough. Maybe it's a fear of speaking in public, something like that. Those are all little emergency brakes on your life that keep you held back and keep you from going at everything with all that you've got. Today, let's take our emergency brakes off. I think we'll find that our lives will go smoother and that we'll have a lot more opportunities in front of us. If you take anything away today, let it be this. Life is going to be full of lots of twists and turns and unexpected detours. If life isn't going the way that you planned it, that's okay. Curveballs are inevitably going to come your way, but your journey is going to be defined by the way that you react. I once thought I might be a teacher and then farm and ranch for fun. I love cows. I can't help it. But today I'm a congresswoman and I'm a college graduate. Never let yourself feel defeated, never give up, and always know that there are no dead ends, only new roads ahead. So thank you for the opportunity to address you today. May God richly bless you. Congratulations, and go Jacks.